As we are approaching the end of the year that is 2022, and as Phase 4 of the MCU is finally coming to an end, concluding with only one project left, which is the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special, I thought this. Totally new idea. It would be a fun idea to do a little ranking, a little review of what has come in these past couple of years, as this has been by far the most controversial and most conflicted upon era the MCU has ever had. So it would seem to be a whole lot of fun and super easy to shit on everything they have done. But I'm not gonna do that, because there has been some good. A lot bad, but there was good. And I'm gonna touch on that too. Now, in fairness, the most controversial part of the MCU Phase 4 has been the Disney Plus series, and the love-hate relationship that has been going towards every single one of these shows. And since each one of them is hours long and 6 to 9 episodes, I'm not gonna touch on them, because talking about each of these would take way too long. So I'll probably save that for another video. Instead, this video will be about specifically the movies. 7 movies total. This is including the Halloween special Werewolf by Night, but excluding the latest full-length movie, Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, since it hasn't been out for long and I don't want to go into much spoilers on it. But it was good, and if I was to rank it, it would probably be in the middle of the road with the rest. This ranking will be subjective based on my personal tastes, but you're free to argue with me in the comments if you like. I like a good debate. And without further ado, begin. This isn't going to be much of a surprise to anyone, but could be a bit of a debated pick, since there are some who praise this movie, and even if they wouldn't put it at the top of their list, still wouldn't put it at the bottom. But the movie I have in last place is, without a doubt, Eternals. Look, I'm a storytelling guy. A character and story comes first person, and there is a good argument to have that Eternals is one of the most lacking in those areas of all the Phase 4 movies. Sure, Chloe Zhao is an incredible director, and despite the fact that I didn't think her directorial voice shined that much during this one compared to her other projects, I would still say she had some pretty interesting choices. The visuals in a lot of areas were stunning, and it had a wide variety of diverse characters. But that might have been what was so detrimental in this movie. If you look back at any of the press pushed for this movie, it was always the same thing. Diversity, diversity, diversity. As we came to find out, they only put their diversity in actor choices, and I guess a bit in character traits. But the movie was seriously lacking in terms of strong character development, and any standouts of any of the characters. Most of them felt super one-note, including the villain, which were the worst offender in my opinion. And all of that makes the already lackluster plot super hard to get invested in. And that's why this is, in my opinion, the worst movie of Phase 4. If we're gonna be talking about a movie that just didn't stand out, that was run-of-the-mill, feels like it was written by an AI action flick, then the answer is obviously Black Widow. Black Widow is a movie that bugs me more and more every time I revisit it. It feels very bland and lacks any sort of originality. And I get pissed off every time I remember that Black Widow's arc perfectly concluded in Avengers Endgame, and didn't need anything more. Certainly not a prequel that doesn't really add much to her character besides introduce her family, as if we haven't seen a more human side of her already with the Avengers. The trope that's been bugging me a lot in superhero movies lately is here, where the villain isn't actually a real villain or someone is behind them. That is even worse, and his plan doesn't even make sense. But to do that with fucking Taskmaster. Taskmaster! You pieces of shit! Still though, as a little guilty pleasure with some cool action sequences but terrible visual effects, it works. And at least the characters have more nuance to them than the Eternals. Does this movie make me angry? For multiple reasons, and despite the fact that I don't hate it as much as other people seem to, it just pisses me off how poorly it handled itself. Of course, I am talking about Thor: Love and Thunder. This movie messed up on so many fronts that could have been some great setups. Gore could have been a super interesting villain, and he had a pretty interesting introduction, but the way he takes a backstep throughout the rest of the movie and kept being handled as a super generic villain really pissed me off, despite Christian Bale's usual mesmerizing performance. Great setups in the movie, like Gore's hate towards the gods being proven pretty much right, but that also being played as a joke, especially by our main characters. Thor had no moments of seriousness in the movie, and the comedy, for the first time, finally became too much. It was just the right amount in Ragnarok, but here, what pisses me off the most is how much it undercuts the really serious moments. There were a couple of gags that I liked, like the relationship dynamic with Thor and his hammers, but for the most part, goat jokes and Korg being an idiot was really dumb. Taika Waititi got lazy on the script of this, and that really disappointed me. And Thor being a dumb idiot this much was a bit too far in this one. It's that one thing, you know. They took everything from Ragnarok and amped it up, but none of it really needed to get kicked up a notch. And that's why Thor Love and Thunder, despite some entertainment, is the movie I hate for real on this list. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness was one of the most ambitious projects of the MCU in recent years. It had some super interesting concepts and brought something new to the table at least. But, sadly, a lot of these concepts were poorly executed. The horror elements weren't done right. And even though I didn't expect them to be, it was still disappointing. There was no reason for the quote-unquote redeeming of Wanda. She killed all these innocent people, and I know everyone is gonna say, Darkhold, but Wanda has been turning bad for quite a while now. In WandaVision, it wasn't excusable what she did, because she subconsciously knew, and it was herself that decided to get her hands on the Darkhold. No one forced her. Sorry, I'm going on a rant now, but yeah, still. I hated that Doctor Strange kinda took a backseat for this one. It almost felt like he was a supporting character in his own movie, and the pacing of it was a bit all over the place. I still feel like it deserves some props for uniqueness, but it's definitely not the best of the MCU. There was a bit of controversy surrounding the quality of this movie, let's be real. Some people loved it, some hated it. Granted, this is one of the most Marvel formula movies of Phase 4, but in my opinion, it is the Marvel formula executed almost to perfection. Of course, I'm talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. You got a cool protagonist, great-ass action sequences, a cool powerful item, a motherfucking dragon, and one of the most badass villains, or let's say, repaired villains, we won't talk about you, Trevor, in the MCU. A villain that has a close emotional connection to the protagonist, and is driven mad for love. He's honestly the highlight of the movie, and I loved just about every scene the Mandarin was in. I also liked Awkwafina in this movie. She's hilarious. Sue me. I won't touch too much on this one because I already made a video about it like a month ago. But Werewolf by Night, goddamn, this was a good special. The directing, the pacing, the scares, the black and white, the performances, the characters, the visuals, the music score, it was beautiful. And I can't believe that I'm ranking a sub-hour Halloween special higher than almost all other MCU movies these past couple of years. But here I am, doing it. And you can't do anything to stop me. Michael Giacchino, you are a master. It's hard to put into words what I feel about Spider-Man No Way Home. The ultimate conclusion to a trilogy that was, let's be honest, not always the greatest. Just a sheer improvement on all fronts. John Watts' directing, to the visuals, to the growing up of Peter Parker that Tom Holland made so brightly shine, and cemented him, in my opinion, as the ultimate Spider-Man. The great way they added the nostalgia elements of previous characters without making it feel too tacked on, or feeling like nostalgia baiting. Each of the other Spider-Men getting a beautiful storyline that fit their characters, and they didn't show up just for a couple of minutes of fighting. Some of the most emotional moments in all of the MCU in this movie. And I will die on the hill that with its story, No Way Home could have been just as good of a movie without any of the nostalgia. Because this is at its core a Peter Parker story. He never feels left out in his own movie, and I love that. The story of his growth and learning consequences works, nostalgia or not. And it's what made Spider-Man No Way Home for me leagues above any of the other Phase 4 movies, and in line with the best of the best MCU movies ever. Thank you for this. So that is it. 7 movies ranked from bad to great. Won't judge you if you like or dislike any of them, but like this video. That's what's most important. And check out this video about an underrated gem I call The Bear next. See ya.